You want your DJI Mavic 3 Classic footage to just look beautiful, the best it possibly can be. And here you are on YouTube scrolling through videos, trying to find that secret bit of just something to give you exactly that. And there are a lot of videos on here, and in the title it says that this is the must-have accessory. And before you click off, this is no clickbait. You've just bought yourself a £2,000 drone, and you need to use it to its full potential. And to do that, you need some of these. This is the freewell DJI Mavic 3 Classic Everyday Filter Pack, and it will literally cover you for everyday use. Inside you get 8 filters, and these are split into 2 different types of filters, ND and CPL ND. And then you get 4 different strengths of each, ND8, ND16, ND32, and ND64. And these are maybe the first filters you've ever come across, so you may be sat there thinking, what are they? What do I do? Why do I need them? Why is this random guy on YouTube telling me to buy them? Let's talk ND filters to begin with. ND filters are pretty much essential when it comes to dealing with any kind of camera that can film in log, whether that's a mirrorless camera, a cinema camera, or in this case, a drone. Most log profiles make the camera shoot at a higher ISO, and therefore a higher ISO means it captures more light. And when it comes to your shutter speed, when you're filming at 24 or 25 frames a second, which you most likely will be doing, you want your shutter speed to follow the 180 rule. Therefore, you'll set your shutter speed to 1/50, and when your shutter speed is 1/50, again, you're letting more light hit the sensor. The final option that you have when it comes to your camera is to close down the aperture to stop the light getting into the camera, or as much light as possible getting into the camera, to make sure your exposure is correct. On the DJI Mavic 3 Classic, you can close the aperture down to f11, but at that point your image does become a little soft, so why would you want to do that? And that is where the ND filters from this kit come in. Imagine quite simply putting sunglasses on the camera on your drone. And the higher the number is on the ND filter, then the less light is going to let in, therefore darkening the image that little bit more. And as a rule of thumb when I'm using filters, I set my aperture on my drone to be around f4 to f5.6. I find the ND filter which looks about right depending on the exposure which I'm shooting in. And then because my aperture is variable all the way up to f2.8 all the way down to f11 if I really need to go that far. And then once I'm in the air, I can adjust the exposure using just the aperture, and by doing that you have a little bit more control and you don't have to increase the ISO, therefore adding more noise to your image. ND filters are literally the key to getting that cinematic motion blur, making the image look amazing. Onto the CPL filters in this kit, which is short for circular polarizing filters. CPL filters help reduce the amount of glare in your image, especially when it comes to trees, water, pretty much anything which is able to reflect light quite a lot. And as a result of the reduced glare, you also get more saturation out of your image, especially when it comes to the sky. So when it comes to landscapes, when you're going to be using your drone, you get better skies, better trees, better water, overall a better image. And in this pack, you don't get just standard CPL filters, you actually get ND and CPL filters stacked together. On the DJI Mavic 3 Classic or any of the DJI drones, you aren't able to stack any of the filters. What I mean by stack is take an ND filter, for instance, and then a CPL filter and put them all on top of each other to give you a look. And in the situations where you need an ND filter, but you also want to reduce the glare, that is where the CPL and ND filters together in this kit comes in. A thing to note is if you decide to get this kit, on the CPL filters, they can twist. What this does is changes the way it affects the glare or the reflection. A rule of thumb from freewell is to make sure that both markings are together. And when both markings are together, as long as you're using it in a landscape orientation, you will have the most amount of reduction, therefore the most amount of saturation. The only time I'd actually twist the CPL filter around is if I was able to shoot vertical rather than horizontal. But on the DJI Mavic 3 Classic, that isn't possible, but play around with it if you wish and see what results you can get. To swap out any of the filters on the DJI Mavic 3 Classic, firstly make sure your drone is switched off, therefore you've got no power to the gimbal, less likely to cause any damage to it. On the front of the DJI Mavic 3 Classic camera, you will see a filter which comes with the drone. You can twist this counterclockwise to take it off. This filter is just there to protect the camera, similar to what you would use a UV filter for on a mirrorless camera. Pick the filter of your choice, put it back on the front of the camera, and twist it clockwise this time to lock it into position. And then if you want, take the filter from the DJI Mavic 3 Classic and store it in your freewell case. And with these 8 filters, you can seriously upgrade the quality of your DJI Mavic 3 Classic footage and finally use it to its full potential. Freewell also offer a range of other filters for the DJI Mavic 3 Classic. They do a standard CPL filter without the ND, so if you're just wanting to use the drone for photography, I recommend you pick that up. You can also get an ND1000 filter, which is useful if you're wanting to do long exposure photography in the middle of the day, and also a light pollution reduction filter, which is useful if you're wanting to do any nighttime flying and correct the color cast which you get from ambient light. If you want to pick these filters up, I will leave a link down in the description box below. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you do, I will see you right there. Thank you very much for watching and take care.